The world is ending. But these two goofballs don't care. Taylor and Kyle Opalk aren't here to help you. They're here to talk about nerdy stuff. Welcome to the apocalypse.
Okay, good afternoon, Taylor.
Hello.
How you doing today? Hello.
I normally would be doing bad because this is my in-office week where I have to work in the office.
Fuck.
But I got an ADA now where I can basically one day a week I don't have to go into the office. So that's why the American Disability Act. It's
nice.
because
you're disabled? I didn't.
Yeah, well, mentally and physically.
Fuck, I thought that was just Dean.
No, where do you think I learned it from? Okay. Because as I've told you, like my vision and stuff, sometimes it'll be particularly bad in some mornings where it's just like I don't feel as comfortable as I'd like driving and all this other stuff. So I got that. So
wait, okay. So does that mean you actually got? Hold on, you were like having to deal with a bunch of paperwork with the doctors and shit.
The third time finally. Yes, we finally got it. It took. I started this in October of 2024, and I got approved in July of 2025. That's how
Holy shit. Okay, and what did you get?
What did I get? Okay, so it allows me to take up to 4 months a year off, and there's nothing the boss can say about it. Like, they can't tell me I can't take the day off. That's one thing.
Holy shit, okay.
But, like, the idea, though, is it's not paid time off. Like, a lot of it like, if I run out of PTO, and the idea is they can't use any disciplinary action. They can't use that as like, oh, you're not coming into work enough, because it's covered. Then the other half is that's the oh shit, what's that called? Maybe I'll think of it later. But the protected time off, that's called something different. And then the ADA accommodations State Farm agreed to was that they would allow me to, on days that I didn't feel comfortable coming into the office, to not come in, assuming that I'm there majority of the time. And so far that's...
And also still, like, you're not coming into the office, but you're still working.
Yeah, because all I need is a laptop, and I can work anywhere. All I need is the work laptop, so... Because
you go into work 1 week of the month.
Yeah.
And then 1 day of that week, you can now stay home as well.
Correct, yes.
And then you also can get 4 months of unpaid leave, which blows, but also must be relieving that now you can't be, like, harassed about it.
Yeah, because the real problem is I get sick in the middle of the night because of diabetes, and then I'll wake up feeling, and seeing like, if I, can fall back asleep, then it's fine. But sometimes I'm like in the bathroom for hours right before work, and I'm like too exhausted and stuff to work. But that calling the same day in off is like a big no-no. You can't do that. So this is a way to allow. Yeah, so now it's basically just if I call into this number in the morning and say like I'm not gonna work, I have an endocrinologist saying like, yes, he has these things. This is all legit. I agree. And so
okay,
yeah.
So did you talk to like your manager or anyone above you and tell them this stuff, and they're just like, okay, fine?
So yeah, I had to learn all this stuff too. So. What you do is that State Farm, at least in my experience, they work with a third party to do health insurance benefits. They're like, if you have like workers' comp or any kind of paid leave, it goes to this company called New York Life. So what you do is you like State Farm kind of like has an identifier. So like when you go to say like, hey, I work for State Farm Corporate, they like that, and then when you make your claim, like they link those together, and they find out that I don't know how this exactly works, but like when I submit my thing, my boss got a notification that I had submitted a request. So like the information New York Life gets from me goes to like some HR guy at State Farm who emails my boss the information he needs to know about it. My boss basically has no impact. He doesn't get to say anything about anything because it's not his business.
He'll just get a notification and be like, oh, that's that diabetic guy. Okay, whatever.
Yes. That basically, all he gets to do is he gets to see my request saying like, hey, I'm not coming in. So it's like kind of I just need to keep him in the loop of like what I'm doing, but he doesn't get to tell me like, hey, you can't take today off. We really need you in or whatever. That can't happen.
I guess that's the one good thing about being in corporate is that like you are gonna be no name enough that they probably just don't care. They will be aware of it, but they aren't gonna.
And they're gonna comply with a lot more of these kind of like official laws, like workers' rights kind of stuff. They have to like maintain some kind of status, or else you can get sued in a way that like I don't know, individual small companies may not be able to do. So yeah, that is one benefit. For sure. So I got some worker protection via my health.
Very cool. And how are your eyeballs? And
fucking dog shit, dude.
Yeah.
I've been going for about I think that was my fourth injection of this one medicine. But
wait, they're injecting medicine into your eyes?
That's what they're injecting. It's like a steroid and something with medicine in it. I don't quite get it, but the idea is that it reduces the swelling that is in my eyeballs, because that's what's happening is that because diabetics have I forget what the thing is, but our blood flow is dog shit. And so what your body does to like make up for this is to create new blood vessel like for blood path to go through. But because of how weak those veins are getting, that they break easy in your eye. This is all like specifically in the eye because of how small those veins are. So that blood just sits in your eye. And eventually gets absorbed back into the body and whatever, but it takes a while. And like if it's bleeding faster than you're absorbing it, it's eventually just going to cause kind of this bit of a cloudiness. And so what you would think is, okay, you take LASIK, those kind of lasers, and stop the bleeding. But if your eye keeps making these godforsaken weak blood vessels that keep breaking it, you're going to have to wait till that just do it over and over forever. So they inject your eye with this steroid medicine that is supposed to, this hormone that will tell the body to stop making new blood vessels in the eye. Don't do it. You're dumb. Stop, please. And when that happens, your eyeball starts to swell when it's full of the liquid. As more liquid's in there, your eye swells more and more and more and more. So they've been measuring it, and my eye swelling has not decreased at a rate that is like, it is not bigger, but it's not decreasing in a way that's like,
appropriate to what they're injecting.
Yes. So, because the idea is you go in, you get an injection, and then they see you in a month, and then they do the second round, and they usually will, between that 1 month period, your swelling goes down so much, they go, okay, the next one will be 6 weeks out, then 10 weeks out, then eventually gets to a point where it's a long enough gap, they're like, okay, now we're going to start lasering your eyes. And actually, because you're not making the blood vessels, we're all good here. And then we'll clear out the bleeding and stop that. And then, so you do those both kind of at the same time for a little bit, and then eventually the injections stop and you finish up the lasers. But you can only do so much, and it takes a long time. I haven't gotten to the laser part yet, so I don't really know how that works, but in the injection part, yeah, they're just injecting both my eyes with some medicine. But I did 4 months of that, and I got no improvement. So now they're switching to another medicine that straight up just like, insurance does not cover. So I have to pay for it in full. Until I hit my deductible, which was like $5,000 or something. So I don't really know what it's going to look like, but the only other medicine that is approved just doesn't do anything for me. So that's where we're at now. We just did the first round of this new injection. Made me kind of sick, as I told you on over the weekend. I just had been just kind of up and down all weekend. But my vision is technically a little bit better. Like, I was able to kind of read a line of text that was normally a little bit too hard. I've been playing World of Warcraft a little bit.
Really? Is that because we talked about it or what?
So the big thing is, have you heard about WoW Remix at all?
Oh my god, no.
So what they do, they did this like last year. It was Mista Pandaria Remix, and they basically reset it to be the Mista Pandaria era, but they are like kind of speed running, and like they modify what they give you, and there's all these unique rewards, but it's designed to be like a kind of like a custom what if we made this like a you level like at 400% speed, and you have this cloak that has infinite sockets. So any gems you find, you can just keep adding to it. Whoa. And it's just like, it's like all this crazy shit. And it's supposed to be like, what if you were playing a custom server? It's like I was
just going to say, that's a fucking custom server.
It is. They have custom vendors that sell unique cosmetic rewards that you get from like doing activities.
Wait, this is an official Blizzard thing?
Yeah. It's part
of
this.
When did they start doing this?
This is the first one was Mists of Pandaria last year. It was a brand new thing. They just did it as on a whim. And everyone was like, dude, this fucking rules. So they are putting into the PTR the Legion version of this. And Legion's big thing was that like every class got their like signature weapon, and that like kind of grew over time slowly and all this other stuff. But so like in the remix version, the weapons have all new skill trees that are significantly more powerful and absurd. And they don't scale the world up too much. Like it's almost like done to be kind of like a power fantasy kind of thing. But there's still like, they even have like higher end raids that weren't really.
What the fuck? Okay, so hold on. First of all, 11 minutes in, let's announce what we're doing today.
I think we're just talking about cool shit.
A good health update. Good to hear some of that stuff. Not so much having to pay $5,000 for your new eye injection shit, but that's
hell yeah, baby.
You're experiencing the brunt of the American insurance system.
Thank God I have a job right now. Oh
boy. What we were planning to do today, and we'll get to eventually, is we're going to be talking about gameplay loops. The thing that keeps you coming back to a game or a genre of games over and over and over. The loop of gameplay that keeps pulling you back in, that it does it for you. And that's what we're going to discuss today when we get there. For right now, I do want to elaborate on this WoW thing, because this is the type of shit I would play. I used to play custom servers because WoW was just a little too slow for me. But this was back in like Burning Crusade era. So even, the game was just getting started, and I was like, I want to be part of this WoW World of Warcraft experience, but I'm just not a MOBA guy. I didn't have the attention span back then. I was too young and just wanted to rank up in Call of Duty. So World of Warcraft didn't do it for me. So I would play custom servers that had like 500% experience, all this extra damage, vendors that would just sell the best weapons in the game. So once you had enough gold, you could just buy them. And I would basically just play private servers that I would speedrun myself through the game and get to experience what Taylor was experiencing night after night with all of his buddies. But I got to do it on a kind of a faster scale. Now it sounds like they've incorporated this actually. So I want to ask, does the remix thing, it doesn't give you a boosted character? Do you start at level 1, you just level faster and can do everything quicker?
Yeah, so the idea is they didn't want it to be like a straight up just kind of like cheat code. It's like, hey, here's our version, but like we are remixing it to be more kind of engaging, faster, different. So it is still there, but like, and the idea is that like the speed at which you level scales over time. So like the longer this season is rolling, the faster the leveling experience is. So like you come in late or want to make a different character later, you'll get to end game way faster. And I will say this is all how Pandaria did it. So I don't know if the Legion version, they're going to like throw everything out and this is going to be dog shit, which is very possible. But that's how Mists of Pandaria did it. But yeah, the idea is of the end, because they have level scaling and questing scaling like kind of perfected. Oh no, that's not relevant anyway.
So when you get to max level, obviously there's a ton of people playing this server or whatever it is, so you can find groups and raid and do stuff. How does that endgame stuff work?
It is identical to how you would imagine. It's just like everyone who's playing Remix can only like it's their own servers, so it's just like the dungeon like group finder is still going to be there. There's still endgame raids. There's still like set bonuses that you're chasing after. Mythic Plus, about Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
And then, in fact, in this remix version, they said they're going where the keys can go infinitely scaling because of like just how strong you can get and like.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you can have infinite gems in your cloak and
and stuff like
powered
that.
up skill trees. There's no way a Mythic Plus is going to be hard enough. Okay, so then, dude, okay, why wouldn't you tell me about this? This is literally how I used to play WoW. I loved this like kind of sped up version where you get to experience WoW, but it doesn't take hundreds and hundreds of hours to get to the end.
And so the big thing is like they only did it that one time, and then they haven't done it since, and this is the first time they do it, and it's just now going into the PTR, so it's whenever the next WoW patch cycle is, so it should be like a month or two maybe.
This isn't okay, now I'm extra confused. First of all, I feel stupid saying just to get to the end, because part of why it was so magical in the MMO in general is because the whole journey, Lauren's most hated phrase as of late, because everyone talks about my hair care journey, my skin care journey. She's getting so sick of seeing that shit. But in terms of a video game leveling journey, it's a bit more fair and apt. But it's not like, Path of Exile, where, the campaign is literally just fucking miserable and you do it just to get to maps. Mm. In WoW's case, the whole game is very fun. But when I played with you guys in BFA, Battle for Azeroth,
bad fucking awful.
What's that?
It was bad fucking awful.
Yeah. I didn't want to level because you guys were already at the end. You needed that extra. You needed another person to do mythics with, and I had just been like right place, right time. So when I did play WoW, the one couple month period I actually got into it, it was still just a race to the end. You guys gave me some token, or maybe you got one for signing up for WoW.
For buying the expansion, they give you...
Yeah, I got a free level 70.
Boost. Yeah.
But I even mentioned this to you before. I have been toying with the idea of getting a WoW subscription for vanilla, because I'm at a point now in my life where, like, I'm older. I don't need to just speed run something. I've been looking for a really slow, at my own pace, immersive RPG experience. Now, I know Ryan is probably like ripping his hair out, not my brother Ryan Malaki, of like all these single player games I could be playing to have an experience like that, but it's just like, I don't want to play Prey. I want to play an MMO where it's like a gigantic, full lived in world that I can just step into when I want and then step out. And vanilla WoW has appealed to me, but I also think I'm probably rose-tinted glasses.
I think there's a little bit of I don't know that it would hit and be a thing
after hour 80 and I'm only level 16, I'm gonna be like, yeah, this is a fucking pain.
And like, you forget how often you needed at least one other person to help you fight a dude, or how quickly you're out of mana, or I needed the true MMO way.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that's the stuff in Classic that, like, the pre-Cataclysm version of WoW is much different pre-Wrath of Lich King. But
okay, so then they did this remix thing with Mists of Pandaria, and they were like, let's try this. A lot of people liked it, and Blizzard went, okay, let's do this for every expansion. So now, when they re-release Cataclysm Legion into the...
So I would say this is not... All they're doing is... So, on the WoW character screen, there is a modes tab drop down that says, right now it says, no new modes coming soon. So that, what I imagine is you would log into your retail account, drop down to remix, and then whatever remix is running, you would be playing on like these. Because the idea is after the remix
they're going to change the remixes?
These are, Kyle, we are speculating. We are in full speculation territory at this point, because they recognize that this pattern works, but what they can do within it is we're still so early in terms of like, they can just fuck with anything and they're willing to. So they've even done some like custom like battle royale PvP mode back in the day. Like they've done some weird like one-off things, but they're building in with their new like engine tech.
God, to, like, what a stupid fucking company Blizzard is. It's taken them 20 years to do what people were doing with private servers after like a week? Come on!
So the idea then is that after the event ends, however long it runs, your character will then migrate into your retail account with, all the gold they earned, all the rep, all the whatever currencies, and those all kind of migrate to your main account. And then, that you just got another character now you can play with in your main thing as you go back to the retail until the next, cool thing game mode comes out and you make a new guy.
Okay.
There.
And so you said there's a Legion PTR right now, and the remix version is in the PTR as well.
That is what they're testing. Is like, do all the events work? Are there, test the bugs out for the, So
and
like,
it's still the same thing where there's an infinite gem cloak. The experience scaling is the same. Damage scaling is the same. All that kind of stuff.
I would say the cloak thing was the Mist of Pandaria like expansion unique. So like in Legion, it's the artifacts. In Mist, it was the cloak. So that's why the cloak was infinitely scaling. And in Legion, it's the infinitely scaling primary weapon, your main hand weapon. So you never have to look for a new weapon. You'll always have this. And I will say I have not confirmed exactly how they've changed it at all. But that's something I'm going to be looking into it now that there's like actual testing going.
How do you play WoW with your eyesight?
So they have awesome accessibility features. They have a UI scaling thing that perfectly scales up the text of everything, the icon sizes. I can just move everything and I just look like an old man. I can change the size of my fucking mouse cursor so I don't lose that. There's a thing that highlights my character and puts an icon over my head so I never lose them. So it's mainly just they have incredible accessibility features that their UI is so scalable that I can read it even with my bad vision.
How much did you play of the Mists of Pandaria one?
I'd say about 6 or 7 hours because my vision was still dog shit, so it was really hard for me to do too much. But I got like a mount and a title that's unique,
And
so
you played enough that you were like, "This is really fun. I'm going to do it in Legion."
Oh yeah, in fact, I was bummed. The only reason I didn't keep playing the Mist one was I didn't have my computer set up. Like I didn't have a desk, so I was like playing on my lap, and it was just like a dog shit experience trying to do mouse and keyboard.
When did you have a one?
That was up until like 2 months ago was probably when I finally moved my computer. Remember when I said I moved my podcasting station to the office?
Yeah.
That's when I moved back to a desk. I've been otherwise on a couch with just my mouse like on a on my lap.
That's poopy. Okay.
So, but I'm
all right.
back and look, my life's I am an enigma and a weirdo. You can't keep up with me.
That sounds really, really, really fun. I would love to do this like accelerated, tweaked.
I have never
version.
been more excited. I am going to ask you about it when it comes closer to actually coming out.
Yeah.
And should definitely fuck around with that because that's my favorite era of World of Warcraft. That's the thing that like to me was I was subscribed for 2 years straight. There was not a single day in that expansion in which I didn't give Blizzard my monthly fee, and it's the only time it's ever happened. Yep, start to finish.
Yeah, I mean the scalable, upgradable weapon sounds really cool. I know it's probably the ARPG part of me might be like I like upgrading my weapons and getting new things, but at the same time, in Diablo 2 or even in Path of Exile, like when you put on your best in slot unique weapon and it just stays there, like that feels really good. And then to also know the mechanic of Legion is that it's going to have its own like skill tree and upgrade stuff. That sounds awesome.
Like there's literally abilities or modifiers to abilities in a way that like Legion was so good that leaving Legion broke like the entire game. Like that's why BFA people hated so much is because they had to give up their artifact weapons, which were like the most fun.
It was the power fantasy, like removing the power that they...
You lost so many cool, unique abilities that like we had just been taking it for granted that now that we didn't have it and it became like a talent instead, so you lost an ability.
Dude, I'm so excited. Oh my god, I would love nothing would make me happier than creating a new WoW character with you and like actually playing. That would be incredible.
I hope that this scratches that itch, so I'm gonna after the pod I'm definitely gonna do some research on that, some more specifics and see.
What I will say for anyone listening is that surprisingly, despite me and Taylor like doing this podcast together and talking about all this shit, we don't ever do stuff together. We don't play games together because number one, our taste is quite different. So, the games, as we're going to talk about today eventually, hold your horses, guys. Gameplay loops that attract me don't necessarily attract you. And if they do attract you, it's probably, spoiler alert, like roguelite games that are single player and you don't play them together. It's like Hades or Slay the Spire where you just play by yourself and do this same thing over and over. So would be very cool to do something finally. Because what games could we even play together up until this point? Like Diablo 2, you could get on Project Diablo 2 with me, but I don't think it has. I don't think you could read anything on it.
No, I can't for shit. That's why I stopped playing Diablo 2. Actually, was because I couldn't really read anymore.
Yeah. And we can't play MOBAs together. Not that I play them anymore anyway, but you're certainly not going to play shooters. So, we do stuff, but we're both nerds, but we just can't play anything together. So
that's why Magic the Gathering is kind of our thing. We both fucking love card games. And I think that's the big. Weirdly, that's about where our interests start and stop is in a lot of ways. Because I even think about when we were playing Marvel Snap and we were talking about what variants we thought were awesome. As a lot of times we things that I think were awesome, you're like, fuck this one, it's so stupid. I think it's because I like cute shit, but that's different than what we're getting at. But anyway, I want to hear your first game. What is your first loop that makes you feel things?
Okay, so I'm talking about. I have a list of not specific games, although I have games to mention, but my number one gameplay loop. Well, fuck. Maybe I misunderstood the assignment, my own assignment.
But
yes, I'm gonna bring up a game genre, which is the roguelite genre.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I have a couple games to talk about. Is that what you do, or do you have specific games that have gameplay loops that
I have I have games that are more because they are an example of the thing. So it's yeah, you get it. You're good.
Okay, so the roguelite is a more recent genre. It is we've talked about this before, but it is a spin on the roguelike, Like, where roguelikes are games where it's basically just how everyone used to play N64 games before the save pack came out. But you start a game, you play as long as you can until you die or you game over, and if you do die or game over, you restart the entire thing from the beginning and you go again. It's sort of I don't know how to create an analogy for this, but that's what the roguelike genre is, where you get as far as you can and then you die and go back to the beginning. Then, a spin on that was invented because people like that gameplay loop of trying to get as far as you can before having to restart, but they didn't like losing everything. So then they invented a genre called the roguelite, where you have a meta progression, if you will, which is where you get as far as you can and maybe you die and you restart the whole thing, but you may have unlocked something along the way of okay, you now have permanently unlocked this new weapon, so now you get to redo the entire game. It's the same thing, but it's with a new weapon, so you have all these new skills. Or you unlock a new skill where it's oh, you made it far enough, or you killed a certain special boss, and now you unlocked a certain new move. So then you add that to your repertoire, and you replay the game over and over. So the actual gameplay is playing over the same thing again and again, but your character sort of gets modified and powers up in a way to make the experience slightly different every time, rather than just the repetitive get as far as you can, die, restart from scratch, get as far as you can, die, etc. Now, the first game that probably really, really hooked me on this genre was Hades, I think.
Wow, so you're that recent. Interesting.
I think so. I mean, Hades 1 came out in 2018.
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you what got me hooked on them, and I think you'll be shocked.
Well, maybe I'm just completely misremembering my past. Maybe when you say it, I'll know. Okay, I assume the roguelike genre is in your gameplay loop list as well, right?
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, it's one of two or three genres that still, do anything for me. Because the big thing for me, the funny part is there are two kinds of games I like. The most linear game you can possibly think of, or an infinitely replayable one, like a roguelike, and there's no in between. I don't want, that's why open world is there's some creativity. No, that's not enough options. Give me one or give me an infinite. And that's what I love about the roguelite is that I also hate wasting time. And so roguelikes are like, they're kind of like you beat it or you don't, that's it. Whereas like roguelites is, even if you're dog shit, can't be Act 1 boss, can't make any synergies work, you're going to make incremental progress. So it's like, you know what? At least next run I have 10 more health. That's one more hit. I can hit one more time and get a little bit farther, learn that pattern, try a new weapon that I wasn't sure if it was going to be any good. And like that to me is these like one more run things that roguelikes just don't do as much for me. But I think that the kind of roguelike where there is no progression are kind of more rare now. And if there is no progression, there's a just metric fuck ton of build variety as kind of like the offset.
Sure, a way to because a lot of these games will do like while you're playing through your run, you will level up, because often these are RPG style systems in these games where your character levels up and gains power over the course of a run. And as you level up, your upgrades will basically the kind of gimmick that's become the most popular is you will get to pick one of 3 upgrades. And those 3 upgrades are pulled from a gigantic pool of random modifiers and abilities. So, you'll get a thing like, your lightning attack does more damage, something simple like that. Or it'll be completely game-changing, like, oh, you get this entirely new ability that adds a modifier to your skill that changes its entire behavior. Or it'll be something like, now you get critical hit chance, where you didn't have that before. It can be very simple percentage increases, or it can be kind of gameplay changing upgrades. So you get to pick one of these 3 upgrades that's pulled from a larger pool.
Dude, if I see a pick 3 screen on anything,
Everyone, gets your little Johnson.
Especially when I can see that each pick has a different rarity. Oh, dude.
Yes, yeah. And then there will be randomization, RNG within that, where it'll be like, this is the rare version, so it's extra strong, or this is the common version, so it's a bit weaker. So that will be kind of the hook that keeps you playing within the run, to want you to keep pushing further and further and further, get the level ups, get the upgrades, see what you can get, and then eventually you'll die and restart. Now, why did you bring up those level up things, and what was I adding to it?
I was just talking about how great the pick 3 option is.
It is.
That's I interrupted just to say that.
Okay.
So the rest of your forgetfulness is your fault.
Yes, it is. Hades. My God, am I about to embarrass myself and say that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What I can tell you is that the very first roguelite game that got me introduced to this genre, because I didn't know it existed, was a game called Rogue Legacy, released in 2013. So that was the first time I had ever played it. It came out on Steam. But the gimmick of that one is just, we don't go into specifics, but that was the first one that I saw a meta progression as a like gameplay feature. And I was like, oh, this is just the Diablo skill tree, but I'm not playing an action RPG. I'm playing, this game was a platformer, kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It doesn't matter. But I'd never seen kind of like seeing a skill tree outside of an action RPG was just not something I was used to. And it was, I don't know. Ever since then, they've gotten better as they've really focused in on, like, they don't have to explain the language of the roguelite as much because of how popular it's gotten. I mean, Balatro is probably one of the most popular games right now, and it's a poker roguelite,
Yeah. Shout out to Ryan Labaki. He just 100% of the game today.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Holy shit. That's like more effort than I put into Slay the Spire.
Well, maybe not 100% the whole game, but he has he's won every stake with every deck. So
get a life, dude.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's what I wanted to bring up, was that he's a fucking loser and needs to get a life.
Yeah, God.
What?
Oh, okay. Incredible.
Let's let that moment live in silence for a little bit.
So yeah, that is why.
What I wanted to say is that the Survivor game has massively exploded in popularity. Everyone knows Vampire Survivors, where it kind of invented this subgenre of the roguelite, and it is also one that heavily employs the pick pick one of three upgrade thing, where you have a character, you fight off waves of enemies constantly. As you kill the enemies, you level up. As you level up, you pick upgrades, you pick skills, you pick upgrades for the skills, and your character eventually turns into basically just a god, where you're just evaporating the entire screen constantly with all these different insane mechanics that are constantly happening around you. So those are roguelites as well, but they're a subgenre of the roguelite, which is the survivor genre. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying this correctly. So what is it?
Go ahead.
The one survivor game that really hooked me the most is Soulstone Survivor. Basically imagine like Diablo 3, this sort of colorful, punchy, explosive combat, really flashy, but it's also a survivor game, so you're fighting off those waves of enemies like vampire survivors. This is all from a top-down perspective. You know, you look at your character and you control him with the left click of your mouse and move him around, or with WASD. That game, I guess I don't really know what I have to say about it unless we talk about the whole game, like you know, hurrying yourself earlier about Rogue Legacy. I guess I'll do the same about Soulstone Survivor. But it is the survivor subgenre game that hooked me the most. Now, I've only played 100 hours of it, which I know is a lot, but over the course of like 3 or 4 years that I've had it, it's not that much.
Yeah, that's roughly what I have in Soulstone Survivors as well.
Okay, yeah.
But I have 100% at the game. I've gotten every character's skill tree maxed out. So.
Oh, really? You've played it that much?
Yeah.
Every single character? No way.
All 24, 25? Whatever.
So you've gotten them all to like prestige 100, 200, whatever it takes?
160? Yeah, I think it's 160 for each character.
How the fuck? Do you have like a build that you know works most times and you just max out your XP?
Sorta. Damage over time shit stacks like crazy, and eventually you get like the same set of like the runes you can equip that just you kind of can just have a consistent. No matter what character you pick, you're like, oh, this guy's weapon that does the bleed weapon. All right, we'll do a bleed build. And that it just almost everything works in that game, so that's kind of all. It's more of a game that
true.
You just put in the time, and eventually you get everything you need. So.
What I want to do, though, is I kind of want to refine how we're talking about this. This is supposed to be about gameplay loops and not necessarily specific games or how specific games work. So what I want to do is maybe talk about how roguelites specifically, what it is about the gameplay loop that is so addicting. Why is it that after I just die in a run, I immediately want to start another one?
Let's use Hades as our example.
Because that is the best game ever.
God, I love
genuinely
Hades
one of the
so
best games ever made. Not even just of the roguelite. It is truly a phenomenal game as a whole, as an entire thing. Like it's in the upper echelon of best games ever made.
Agreed.
Hades is a I would call it kind of a hack and slash RPG roguelite.
Yeah, they just call it. Yeah.
What do they call it?
Just action. That is the action roguelite is exactly what you would imagine.
So yeah, you play as Hades. No, you don't play as Hades. You play
you dumbass. Zagreus.
Yes. Your mission in this game is to escape from hell. You play as Zagreus. Your father is Hades. You are in the underworld, and you're trying to fight your way through the underworld to get to the surface because you're trying to do something. I can't even remember anymore.
You're just trying to escape hell to see your mom.
That's right, Persephone, because she's on the surface. Because her and Hades and Persephone got a divorce. It was messy, and
she did not get the kid in the divorce, and the kid did not like that.
No, the dad won the custody, and Zag is like, "Fuck you, Dad! I'm out of here."
Yeah,
and then it turns out he's stuck in the underworld, so it's not that easy. He has to get more and more powerful in order to push himself further and further to eventually fully escape the underworld. Spoiler alert. Now, that premise alone is actually like pretty brilliant. I love the setup for Hades in that way, that like you are, in this world of gods and demons and whatnot. It's like there are rules that have to be followed, but in this instance, it's cool to think about, like, yeah, Zag getting just stronger enough that he can push himself. Like, eventually you make it to the surface, but you can only stay on the surface for a few seconds before whatever spell or whatever you're bound to, like, pulls you back down to the underworld. Then you make it to the surface again, and you can stay a little bit longer because you're, like, you know, just getting more powerful. So, conceptually and kind of lore-wise, the way they set up Hades is really great. It's a good hook. Now, of course, the gameplay is the primary motivator to play this game. It is so snappy and impactful, and you unlock kind of what I mentioned earlier. You unlock new weapons as you do more and more runs. So sometimes, like, these games are a lot like Souls games in a way, where you'll hit this wall of difficulty and think, how the fuck am I ever going to beat this? And then you upgrade it, you unlock a couple meta upgrades, you get better at the game as a person playing it, and then suddenly you beat that part, and now that is actually the easy part. And now you hit that next wall of difficulty where you're like, okay, how the fuck do I beat this? And then you slowly do enough runs that you upgrade enough to beat that part. And so that is the loop and the hook. Just pushing yourself a little bit further each time. That's really what it boils down to. Is things that were hard are now easy, but then a new hard thing crops its way up, and now you have to be able to beat that. And then eventually that becomes the easy thing, and then a new hard thing is your milestone. And something about that, it's so addicting.
It's interesting is that for me, what is the motivating factor is almost more nebulous in that you can see the infinite possibilities the more you play, that I just get so excited at how powerful everything feels. So in a good roguelike, so like why I picked Hades in particular, is that you see the first thing you pick is what weapon you're going down with. And there are like 6. And all of them are so drastically unique and interesting that, like, okay, that's something I want to like try out these different weapons. And then when you go and start your first run, you get a power that's, one of like 11 different elemental effects, and every weapon attacks in a different pattern, and all the different gods have unique ways that, the gun, like some things would want certain gods that like do damage very quickly, or, and all that stuff to me is swirling in my head. So like as soon as the run starts, I just think about like the different synergies, and like that's going to be the thing that's going to come up a lot, is seeing an engine pop off is like such a deeply primal joy that I get. And that like when you just start to see the game like kind of just buckle before you on accident is just like, that's what I think is so fun about the roguelike game, is it kind of lets you break it and invites you to do it again on another one. And it's just like, I don't know, for me it is the endless variance of it that makes it so interesting, but not infinite variance in the like, no two games of Call of Duty are played the same, but it's just like, and it's different even than from the action RPG loot that's randomized. It's like there are 1,000 Lego pieces versus, like an endless non-conforming thing. And like, there's just so many different cool things you can make with these pieces, and you only get a certain number of them. So you're forced to use stuff you don't normally like. And that makes me start to like the things and get good with I hated the gun so damn much. But by the end, like, I remember really, really liking it because I found a very specific, like, Daedalus hammer upgrade and, kind of god that works really well with it, that I, kind of got consistent with it. That is really fun for me. So,
yeah, and they did a good job of incentivizing you to use the other weapons, because when you beat the game with them, then different unlocks happen. So yeah, you might get a weapon where you at first playing it, the gun, it is a bit clunky and weird, and you're like, fuck, this sucks. But you have imposed challenges. Like, I want to beat the game with every single weapon. At least that's what I did. I wanted to beat the game with every single weapon. Or should I say, kill Hades, who is like the final guardian for you before you get to the surface. That's how the game is played out. It's like, you fight through the underworld, and at the very end, it's your dad, Hades, and he's like, I'm the strongest person in the underworld. I will be your test to see if you're strong enough to get to the surface. And so the very first time you finally get to Hades, he just fucking smacks you. He's so much stronger than you. It's crazy. But eventually, Hades is so weak that, like, he's the easy part of the run again, where, like, you beat the whole game and you just completely smoke Hades, and then you get to the surface and get to, well, I guess it's whatever, it's more specific about the game, but what I was saying about the weapons is that you might not have ever played them because you'll use the weapon for 5 seconds and know if you like it or not. But the game will give you upgrades, and as you mentioned, the Daedalus Hammer, which can completely change the functionality of a weapon. You never would have experienced it if the game didn't want, like, kind of incentivize you to use these weapons. So my long-winded point is, all the weapons are really cool. They're all very unique. There's incentive to play them all. So there's tons, even if you don't like the weapon, it will eventually become a weapon that you like because of the way the upgrades work. Now, another part of this game that also hooks you is the story, which, you know, as a person who plays roguelites, usually story is not what you give a shit about. The whole point of the game is, like, as soon as you die, you run it back and do another mission. Like, that's the whole point, is that you just keep playing it and playing it and playing it. You don't care about the story, you just want to play. But in this game, how they would drip feed you the story is you would get, kind of, the story would unlock every time you died. So when you would die and get sent back to your room, literally, like your bedroom, you would go back to the underworld, get sent back to your house, Hades would have something new to say. Or a character that was standing over in that corner is no longer standing over there, and somebody else is like, hey, that guy went over, he went to some place, you gotta go, like, you know, see what's up with that. And as you keep dying and the world keeps kind of regenerating, you get different tidbits of the story, and it's so well written. You like all the characters, they're all very unique. They say very believable things. It's not cheesy or campy. Like, I don't know, you just end up caring about everyone. You want to talk to everyone. You want to learn what has happened since you have last gone out on your run. And all of these little dialogue conversations only take a few seconds each, you know, it maybe just be a couple lines from each character, and you talk to 5 or 10 characters, and you spend a few minutes getting updated on the story and where people are, how they're feeling about things, and then you go off and do your run again. And so as a complete package, Hades was just probably the most impressive game I've played in the last decade as a whole.
Yeah.
Outside of gameplay loops, but yeah.
Yeah, I really think it just does the best. It has enough density of stuff that it really highlights the gameplay loop of, like, why this genre exemplifies why this genre is so fun, is that so many of these different abilities are designed to work together, and, like, when things just, like, kind of overlap and interweave and like synergize, it feels really satisfying. And, like, that's all I can say about, like, why that genre works for me, is because I just love the gameplay loop of building an engine and having it all the pieces finally interlock, click in, and then go off. Then roguelites do that all the time.
Yes. Well said. That will move us on to the next gameplay loop that I would bet overlaps on us, but maybe not. And since I went first, why don't you go now to a game even? Maybe there's a very specific game that has a loop that you like the most, but what's your second gameplay loop that pulls you in?
So I'll have to try. I think I could basically say one thing, and it would like be like the end of the conversation, count all the things I like, so I'll be a little bit more specific. And this is the collectathon catch-em-all checklist type shit.
Oh, platinum trophy.
Yeah, platinum trophy, a big one. Because guess what, Kyle? Guess where I got all of my Soulstone Survivors time?
Oh, okay.
It was the console port. And I was like, dude, it was like $6. And I was like, you know what? This game is cool. I'll give him like a couple bucks, and then I'll play the console version. And I was like, wait, this is so different than how. Anyway, the big ones that are in this space that people will know is obviously Pokemon, but the other one is Persona, Shin Megami Tensei games have this. I don't know very many others, but just having like this encyclopedia of creature monster things that you can get, and you need to fill that up. And it doesn't necessarily even need a reward the way that like a lot of other stuff does, but like, I don't know, there's something about an encyclopedia you filling up feels really good. I don't know why this loop like works for me, but seeing that kind of stuff like fill up, and then it's having there's always like a kind of character that comments or rewards you or just periodically kind of acknowledges you filling this thing up, that shit always works for me. And most of the and Persona is kind of where more of my experience is with this, but like, you know, every 10% of the encyclopedia you get a permanent discount on like this really expensive store that's normally like kind of like out of reach for you, but like then in mid game it becomes all of a sudden you can buy one thing from here when you need it, and then by the end game, if you've been keeping up with it, like this thing can like really push you to like kind of make the final encounters relatively easy, which I think is like a fun, nice little. It's encouraging you to go out and fight stuff to make the money so you can buy the cool stuff that they're making. It's a little cheaper. And so anything that like kind of encourages you to go out into the world and see all the different corners. And that's what I think is what makes it a really good loop, is like by incentivizing you to see everything, you do then have to see it and do everything. And I know it sounds really stupid when I say it, but there is something different about like doing 100,000 side quests in all the corners. But another is just like, you know, just make sure you check out that corner of the map and find the snowy creature guy. Like just check that one space out, or find that rare monster, and that can like make a boring area more interesting. I don't know. That's some of the stuff of like why I really love those like catch 'em all type games. I didn't even talk about like actual combat or gameplay stuff. That's just the loop stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was hoping we would do is
stop talking about
Hades.
Gameplay.
Well, right. Yeah. Hades we had to talk on specifically because as a whole package, that's what makes the loop of that game so fun. It was everything. It is the gameplay. It's the mechanics. It's even the way the story is fed to you in these little tidbits that you can't progress the story anymore unless you go do another run. It's just a perfect marriage. So what we're talking about. But this one, the collectathon thing is, I totally understand that as a separate motivator for why you would want to play a game. And interestingly, it doesn't work for me whatsoever. I could not care less about 100%ing games. Never ever wanted to get a platinum trophy. I don't give a fuck about completing my monster encyclopedia. So this is going to be a one-sided conversation here, but
yeah,
like,
I have no idea why that. Yeah, I don't know what it is about me either, and that's something that like that's the thing I noticed about what is it, the games that I decide to like. What is the like kind of connective tissue that's between all this, and what I was kind of alluding to earlier is just like number go up, me happy is like the reason of why I like anything. And you'll notice that when I talk about the other loops. So like this one is like this, oh, it feels good to have a list cleaned off. Like marking off that last, you know, take out the trash in the bathroom. You clear that, it's like, all right, my chores are done. That kind of like relief of just like, oh, I have all of this done. I don't know, that's very satisfying. Talk about frickin' being autistic, my God. I like doing chores. That's why it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're just pains in the ass to get out of the way.
And I do think that a lot of them are bad, but like for me, it's like, what if there's a game you love and it's like, oh, here's a good excuse to do more with it. I guess it's because otherwise, yeah, I don't know.
It's just done. You know, the collectathon thing, especially Platinum Trophy, they're just additional side missions. That's all it is you have your quests in the game, and then the trophy system also demands you go do other things too. So it's like a meta quests, if you will. Like,
I refuse to find my own fun. My PlayStation needs to tell me what fun to achieve, exactly. Okay?
Now, I don't know if there's a correlation between people who like to collect things. So, you know, like Dad is a collector. He loves to get stuff. You know, he has his collection of models or little airplane things. But you don't collect anything in real life. But yet,
oh God, no.
As a gameplay loop, you love the collectathon. So interesting how that works.
The real reason is because the digital version of collecting was able to grab me before the physical part did. So
Good.
That I honestly think
saves
that
you.
might be part of it.
Well, yeah, I don't care about that stuff. So
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
gonna
cool.
move the conversation forward.
Yeah.
Be quiet now. Thank you. ARPGs is the next one. Kind of similar to roguelites. You get loot to kill monsters faster to get more loot to kill the monsters faster. That's kind of the really boiled down version of it. But it has a major hook on me. Even just today, I was playing Diablo 2. Came out in fucking 1998. It came out in 2000, and the expansion came out in 2002. But yeah, this 20-year-old game, just the itemization, the balance between time invested versus rewards given is so perfect that it will never ever let me go. I don't know that I will ever be able to stop playing Diablo 2. Now, I've gone years without playing it, but I always get a Diablo 2 itch and I have to go back.
You can see a doctor about that.
Yeah, I might have to. Yeah, ARPGs, man.
So what is it about? So is there anything in particular? Because it's very funny. Is like I have the game that scratches that itch is just different for me, which I think is very funny. But like this itemization thing. So what is it that like ARPGs do? Like what is the loop that is so that you like so much specifically? Is it like seeing loot drop? Is it trying to get the best roll? Is it seeing you get like what is it specifically?
Yeah, it's probably there's got to be something just sort of intrinsically attractive about gambling, which I think is why it's like such a huge, market in the world for people. ARPGs aren't gambling per se, but people always compare them to a slot machine, right? You pull the lever, and by pulling the lever, you mean like killing a boss or killing a monster or whatever. You pull the lever, and then something random comes out, and you don't know what that thing will be. But it's addicting to keep pulling that lever to keep getting a random thing. Now, you pair that with other gameplay mechanics like your character levels up and you get more skill points to make your skills stronger, to kill better monsters and harder monsters. There's obviously a power progression that is extremely enticing and addicting as well. Watching your character get stronger over time is very appealing. But it's the loot of those games. Killing monsters to see what they drop for you is really the motivating factor. And your original question was, why is that, basically?
Or just basically which Yeah, go ahead.
It's... I probably have to talk to a therapist about it to figure it out. I don't know.
No, not necessarily like why you like it. Because the answer to these questions of like why, like the answer is like, I don't know, it makes me happy is the answer. But like, which of the, like, what about ARPG specifically? Because like, is the like the gameplay loop speak to you? And it sounds like it's you never know what you're going to get, but there's something good is out there. Like there's a possibility of getting something like that. That excitement of getting it, and then noticing that like the slow incremental power that part of stuff gets you. Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, the character power progression is really what is so appealing, and loot is just a big portion of that. Really, there's like two vectors where your character in ARPGs gets stronger, and the one vector is leveling up and getting skill points, or however the system works. But most of the time, it's your character levels up and gets skill points, and you use those skill points to make your skills stronger. The other vector is the loot that you get to put on your character that your character wears that also modify their power and let you kill stuff. So they both do the same thing, progress your character's power, but they're two different vectors, and the one with the loot is the one that attracts, millions of players across the world to play ARPGs. It's so fun. It's
Oh, go ahead. I thought you were done.
I am.
Okay.
I'm just rambling.
Unlike you, I actually have a refined taste, and I do have something to say about this. So how I express this is I have that exact same thing on my list, but it's for World of Warcraft instead because of the I think games that have that loop of, the loot that gets like stronger and you just seeing the incremental strength or like seeing and WoW, what was nice is that when you get the new raid comes out and you do the easy mode of the raid and the armor's green, but the medium version is now that's the orange armor, and you see those people out there in the world like, oh, they've done the real one, but to get the hard mode one has this lightning cool crackling effect and your armor's glowing red like that, so that kind of thing is very, very like why WoW had its hooks in me. Was that kind of loot cycle. It's just the way that for me, it wasn't, I hate the randomness of Diablo, of ARPGs, I should say. It's not a Diablo thing. And WoW has lots of randomness, right? But it's like just a much more manageable number of physical items that can drop, right? Like the dungeon loot table only has this boss can only drop 8 items. That's it.
Yeah, it narrows the randomness. See, it's interesting because the way I see it still is the parallel paths that I mentioned before is character level and character equipment. Those are the 2 lanes that these games run on. However, MMOs, WoW specifically, has just tipped the scale really heavily in favor of equipment, and that's why Diablo 3, for instance, sucked so much ass. Granted, I still played it for thousands of hours because it's fun in its own way, but it's not an ARPG because your character's level is completely meaningless and it doesn't do anything. It's all loot-based, and that's what WoW is as well. Like, if you had a naked character, but he was max level, you would just die instantly to everything. You would be useless.
You might as well be level 1. There's no difference,
exactly.
Really.
However, in an ARPG like Path of Exile or Diablo 2 or Titan Quest, if you had a max character but he had no gear on, he'd still be able to kill stuff. He'd still be decent. Obviously, he wouldn't be good. But there is that separate lane of character power progression is what I love so much, and it pairs so well with the equipment. And you just like the version where it's a little bit less dependent on your individual character and more so on the loot or the dungeons you can complete to get the specific pieces of gear. So really, they are very similar. But one just leans way further into the loot department, which is also why, again, Diablo 4 sucks, because they did the same thing that Diablo 3 did, where they took away a ton of character power and just put it all into items. And again, Diablo 2 is king because it's just so perfectly split between the two. That's what makes it so addicting and fun.
Yeah, I think, sadly for Blizzard fans of non-WoW games, is that the way they design all their games works great for WoW. It's just the other ones that suffer for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get that gameplay loop. I just I play a different game to scratch that itch. Very similar genre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. ARPGs. That's mine. What's your next one, if you have one? I have a couple more things to mention, but
the other one that I have is like a really basic one. Is just like straight up leveling up, like increasing stats.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Something as simple as just like, here is a value that represents kind of your power in our universe, and you have ways to increase that number, and we have, obstacles in the way that also have power numbers, and your goal is to be kind of bigger than them. Like, that's the most abstract way to, explain 99% of video games, but like that drive to me is just a very fulfilling loop of just slowly seeing your power get stronger. I mean, Final Fantasy turn-based RPGs are going to be the easiest, I think. Or was my first experience with this. I just have such strong, distinct memories of like Legend of Dragoon and the PS1.
Oh my god, me too.
That game. Dude, Whip Hip has lived in my mind rent-free for 20 years. Oh, so good. Do you have 2 platinum trophies on Legend of Dragoon, Kyle?
Yeah, of course you do.
But yeah, so this applies to like so many games. This is why I like incremental like clicker games on my phone. Just like a thing you can check in. You have $8 trillion. Okay, I'll buy these upgrades. Okay, I'll check in later. Like it's not really gameplay, but it gives me. There are a lot of games that use it, and you actually maybe play a game instead of just tapping your screen once. And those obviously games are more fun to play.
So yeah, you are talking about the, obviously I mentioned exactly what you're saying: leveling up a character, getting skill points to make your skills stronger, or getting stat points to make your stats higher and more effective. Yeah, so you're just nailing much more specifically a part of the ARPG genre that I love, and I kind of lumped the whole genre as the loop that pulls me in, because almost every single ARPG I've ever played has hooked me in one facet or another. None of them have done it as well as Diablo 2 or Path of Exile. I mean, I have 2,500 hours of Path of Exile. Over the course of 20 years, I probably have 4,000 or 5,000 hours of Diablo 2. Grim Dawn was good, but something about that game, I just couldn't stick with it. I didn't play it for more than a couple hundred hours. Titan Quest 1, it's impossible to know. I played that game a fuckload, but not nearly as
pre-Steam
much.
integration.
Yeah, so greater point being, Diablo 2 and Path of Exile specifically are the two that have the loop of character progression, skill points, stat points, boosting you up just enough that you feel it, but little enough that you always want more. You never have enough. You always want more. And that is, to me, what's so brilliant about Diablo 2 and Path of Exile, and in your case, something like, Final Fantasy or whatever other game. It's that balance that needs to be right, and very, very few games have gotten it right. Titan Quest 1 is kind of one of them. It was very good at that. Like, you feel your points, but you always want more. That's how I am with Diablo 2 and Path of Exile.
Yeah, and that's why it's interesting, because the game that expressed. I know I've been talking a lot about World of Warcraft today. I don't know. Me and WoW like hooked up in the behind the alley earlier, so I'm a little bit on a honeymoon phase for some reason. But because I'm just thinking back to Legion and playing that a lot as I was going down memory lane a little bit earlier with you. That constant kind of grind, but like I was saying that with love of like this seeing the next big like power grab, like, oh, once I get this piece, holy shit, dude, I'm gonna be so much stronger. I'll be able to solo this guy now. And then once you beat that thing, is like, but you always could see just one more, like you could always use a little bit more power, and there's always a little bit more power out there to get. That's always fun. But like what I love about this gameplay loop is it doesn't have to be exclusively in ARPGs or in MMOs. It can be in single player games. It is just like that that loop is just very satisfying to me. Is just seeing where seeing what you start and then how you end, in that just that it's simulating kind of growing as a which is but in a fantasy fun way where I get digital pixels. So that's my second.
Okay. Yeah, very fair. So yeah, just sort of adjacent to ARPGs as well. The one I have next on here, which you're not going to be able to talk about at all, so this will be a quick one, is shooters. Killing dudes while shooting my guns just feels fucking good when it's done right. Of course, there's infinite numbers of shooter games that exist in the world, but there are the multiplayer shooters that really ate up a lot of my time. Was Call of Duty 4 was my first shooter love. Then it was probably Bad Company 2, then Battlefield 3, and then pretty much not a lot until Apex Legends came out in 2019. And that game has eaten up 4,000 hours of my life, because the Battle Royale genre, that game perfected it. And more recently, Battlefield 6. I played the beta of that, and it feels right at home. It really reminded me of Battlefield 3 and kind of Bad Company 2 a little bit, and I just wanted to play and play and play. So what I would say is, within the shooter genre, the Battle Royale, and here's a caveat, is that I don't like Battle Royales. I like Apex Legends.
Yeah, it's very interesting. That's been my understanding of kind of
Yes.
your
I have
love with
tried
BRs.
I've tried every BR and I hate all of them except Apex. And the reason is, to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit, it's just Apex is just the best made battle royale. It has the highest skill ceiling. It feels like even after 4,000 hours, I am still a completely mediocre player. I mean, obviously, like to newbies, I'm pretty fucking good.
Jesus
But
Christ.
to the YouTubers I watch or the Twitch streamers, I am a fucking cockroach. I'm nothing compared to them. So the skill expression in this game is utterly fucking massive and enormous. And basically, no matter how good you are at the game, you can feel good about it. There will be tons of people who are way worse than you. You will feel good about the time you've put in and how good you've gotten at a specific part of the game, but you can always do more, you can always be better. Someone else will always be better than you, someone else will always be worse than you. So that part of it, in a more grand sense, feels very good in Apex. You feel very rewarded for the time you put in, just in terms of like mechanics, getting better at the game. But specifically too, the movement in the game, people have talked about, I don't know if you know, but just all the different tech that you can use in the game with, super gliding and wall bouncing and tap strafing, and there's all these different movement mechanics that if you learn them, you feel like a fucking badass doing them, but they're hard to learn and even harder to employ in like a realistic scenario. Like, you can learn how to do a thing, but to actually use it in a gunfight is a completely different scenario. And then the gunplay. That is something that when I played Battlefield 6, I was like, man, Apex's gunplay, it just reminded me how good it is, because Battlefield 6 is lacking. Now, a lot of people loved Battlefield 6's gunplay, and I liked it, but it's like, just shooting guns in Apex feels so fucking good. It's hard to explain unless you actually play it or are a shooter fan.
I think it's
but
very
it just
funny
feels good.
That Vince Zampella is running the two games that you're like, I like the way the guns shoot in them. I don't know.
Oh, is he what? Call of Duty 4 and Apex Legends?
No, yeah, and Battlefield 6
Titanfall as well. Vince Zampella's running Battlefield 6? I don't think so.
Yeah, look it up, dude.
No.
Yeah. Well, let me talk.
Right
yeah. Well, I will say that as someone who doesn't play a lot of first-person shooters, I will say I do play obviously games that do first-person shooter stuff. Borderlands, I played lots of, and Bulletstorm. That's a good one. I can't think of any big ones off the hand, but I do think that it's awesome when first-person games have really cool movement tech built in that people can kind of, where there's a lot of player expression. I think is kind of what makes Apex Legends kind of stand out in a lot of ways, from besides obviously being like a hero shooter, but like Overwatch and Apex Legends have similar kind of like structures in terms of like, character class based thing. But like playing the movement in Apex is just something different.
Yeah. Now, confirming, you're right. Vince Zampella was put in charge of the franchise. Maybe that explains why Battlefield 6 is finally fucking, as everyone's saying, we're so back, even though I hate that phrase, but it does feel like it feels like what I wanted Battlefield 4 to feel like, where it feels like a good advancement of Battlefield 3. So it took them, almost 15 years to make
it took them two console
4.
generations basically to figure it out.
For fuck's sake. So wow, that's interesting. Okay. I didn't know that. The last thing I'll mention about Apex and Battle Royale specifically is the gameplay loop of Battle Royale is much like the movie Battle Royale, which started this genre as a game. That's what PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, PUBG, did, is that you like launch out of a drop ship, you land on the ground with literally nothing, and you find guns, armor, equipment, medicine, all of these different things as you progress through this gigantic map, and all the people on the map try to kill each other until they are the last one standing. That is the genre. And in Apex Legends case, it's 20 teams of 3, so there's 60 total players, but you're in a squad of 3, and you can drop all over these different maps. There's a bunch of different maps, and all the players drop out of the dropship, pick their spot to land. You land on the ground, you find guns and loot. Sometimes you land directly next to a team and you have to pick up a gun instantly and start fighting. Other times you can land completely by yourself and have a leisurely game and pick up all the stuff you need and only have to fight the last couple squads. Everyone else has killed themselves already. Like, there's a lot of ways to play the game, but specifically Battle Royales, why they're so addicting is I like to equate them to sort of like a TV show. Each match is like an episode of a TV show where it's gonna have its own little story. It's kind of like a MOBA in that way, where if you look at it from an outside perspective, you just go like, you're just landing, picking up a gun, and shooting at the same people over and over. It's like, you could be reductive in that way, but if you actually play it and understand the nuance of Battle Royale, it feels different every single time, literally, and that's why I keep coming back for 4,000 fucking hours. Because it's just different every time that as soon as I die, I want to go right back into it. And the other thing that makes it and I guess I could elaborate a little bit on why it feels that way, and it's mostly the randomization of which guns spawn where. It is all random. Like, everything on the map randomly generates. So you don't know, there's no like, oh, I just land there and get that specific gun every time. You can't do that. Although, ironically, in Apex you can now because of a thing they added, but we won't get into that. For the most part, it's all loot is random, so every time you land, you don't know what you're going to get. If you like a way a specific gun feels, you have to go loot for it. You got to go open bins. You got to go explore points of interest. You got to go try to find this gun that you like. Or tell your teammates, hey, I love this gun. If you guys find one, let me know. And then you can go get oh, yes, I finally got it. So, like, even within a game where you're just shooting the same guns over and over, there's this sense of kind of progression, of, like, powering up. And what makes it the most addicting is the stakes. When you die in a battle royale, outside of the nuanced mechanics, like in Apex, you can your teammates can revive you, but usually, like, if you get into a fight, your team dies or you don't die. But for the most part, when you die, your game is over and you go back to the main menu and you have to join a new one. It's a lot like a roguelite in that way, where if you die, you gotta restart. So the stakes are pretty high, which is what makes it so addicting, is that, like, you know what's at stake. If I lose this fight, I don't get to come back and try to fight this guy again. I'm back at the main fucking menu, and I gotta hit ready and go into a new lobby and find all my loot again, get all the guns again, and you have to do it all over. So, like, the stakes are just high enough that it feels important, and you want to do well. But at the same time, it's like, oh, if you die, yeah, you get to restart and do it again. So it's a perfect balance of high enough stakes that it's like your adrenaline just gets pumped every time you play. Your heart rate spikes when you get into fights because you know, if I die, I'm going to see that fucking main menu title card, and I don't want to see that. But then at the end of the day, if that does happen, it's like, fuck, that sucked. All right, well, I want to try again. Let's do it again. And that is the loop of a battle royale that hooks people, so many shooter fans all across the world. And for me, Apex is just the one that did it in a way where it's just perfect for me.
That's beautiful.
So that's my extremely long spiel about battle royales.
Well, I'm happy for you, nerds who like
Thanks,
that
man.
stuff.
I like shooters like you like getting platinum trophies.
That's don't say that. You don't like it as enough. You don't understand me.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is actually kind of, I don't know how to distill it into words like I did the other one, so I'll just say it. It's
okay. Give us a sound.
Learning raid bosses in World of Warcraft, like choreographed, long, complicated fights that take like 7 or 8 minutes. I can't tell you how. That's my Dark Souls, like, in the same way that the way, like, learning the boss's mechanics and overcoming it, like, the only game I like doing that in is the toolbox of World of Warcraft. So it's weird, is like, I hate everything except Bloodborne, but I loved it in WoW, like, learning the boss's mechanics is deeply complicated, overlapping timers, and trying to juggle 8 things with only 2 hands is just and then finally pulling it off, that relief when you finally beat it, and then, the next time you fight him, you're like, why did I struggle with this guy? This guy's a fucking joke. I'll do this with my eyes closed, and I'm going to do better than I did last time. I'm going to beat timers and stuff, and WoW has a lot of this stuff built in, which is, why, it's like there's literally a website that, tracked how good you did compared to how everyone else on your server did, and that, people would have rankings and shit, like, and that stuff was really cool. So learning fights and getting better at them is a gameplay loop I just love. And then being able to trounce it the next time as you get your way to much harder stuff. But I don't like it in most Soulsborne game. The only one I liked, like I said, was Bloodborne. I don't know why.
Well, really, that's all the Souls-like genre did, was it brought kind of like big, highly mechanically intense boss fights to a more palatable setting of just like being a character in an RPG versus needing 15 people to all perform at their best and cooperate and work perfectly and know all the mechanics and do everything right. They just kind of reduced that down to being like, what if we took an MMO boss but made it beatable by one person? And that's essentially how the Souls genre was born. I mean, I have no idea how it was born, but saying it like that, I think sounds pretty good.
Yeah. If only that their formula didn't predate most MMOs, I would agree with you. Cause
does it?
Yeah. There's a game on PS2
like
called
EverQuest and shit.
Well, I mean, not quite, but like on the PS2, at least I don't quite. This game is called Kingsfield. I just don't remember.
I mean, I'm not talking about WoW specifically. I'm talking about MMOs. So yeah, EverQuest or Dark Age of Camelot or
that's why
whatever.
I'm looking at
WoW games. Like, there's always been MMOs and there's always been MMO bosses. So I think to put it in layman's terms is, yeah, what if an MMO boss could be beaten by one guy? And that's like what the Souls genre is. Every boss fight is just that.
Oh man, Kyle, this game came out in 1994.
Ooh,
it was a PS1 game, Kingsfield, by From Software, which is a predecessor to Demon's Souls.
Okay, is it a predecessor to EverQuest? That's like the first MMO I can think of, but I don't think it is the first MMO.
I think it's kind of like it's the first MMO that blew up. I don't know. I mean, it is kind of because of like how early it was on the internet era. I'm buying time. March 16th, 1999.
Wow, okay, that came out quite a bit later. Okay, well, I have no idea how... I guess FromSoft was like, let's just make hard bosses.
I think it's a good analogy. I don't want to diminish that bit of it. I just wanted you to stop being ignorant online.
Yeah, no, pardon my ignoramusness. Okay, do you have additional ones? Because I have a couple that I could mention as things I don't like. I mean, we're at basically an hour and a half, so we're done. But
I did not bring anything else. I could easily spitball, or if you want to, you go for it.
Yeah,
just
I'm
go on your
gonna
little
honorable
soapbox.
mention.
Yeah, go for it.
MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arenas.
Nice.
Dota from Warcraft 3 was the first one, Defense of the Ancients. League of Legends is the biggest one everyone knows. There's Dota 2 that Steam runs. There's been countless other knockoff ripoffs that I don't know about. Heroes of the Storm is the one that I happen to pick up and play. Those games used to do it for me. I can't play them anymore. I don't like them that much.
They're a young man's game.
Yeah. I guess I played Deadlock for a little while when it came out, and I actually wanted to reinstall it today because they released a bunch of new heroes, and it looked like a fun time to get back into it. But because that was a problem I had with Deadlock, on a side note, is that despite the game having 25 characters, there was one that I actually enjoyed playing.
Oof,
and
that's tough.
Really lame. Because Deadlock is Valve's newest secret in the open game, where it's basically a MOBA and hero shooter combined, but it's still mostly MOBA, where like lane management is the biggest priority. You have to kill minions and get experience. You have to buy items. It's very much traditional MOBA in that way. But because it leans so heavily into shooting the guns, all the characters to me felt very similar. You know, I'm
Yeah,
sure any Deadlock fans listening out there are going to be screaming.
Well, I mean, because
like,
it is.
What the fuck are you saying, you idiot? But like,
it's a hero shooter more in terms of like,
yeah,
because it's third person action, and then you have cooldown abilities. Like, I think that's a fair description.
And even if it's not, even if I'm not being that simplistic about it, like, oh, they all shoot their guns. Like, of course they do. Just the way that the gunplay interacted with the abilities, none of the characters were interesting enough for me, and I just didn't. Like, that's the thing with the top-down versus third-person. Didn't mention that Deadlock is a third-person shooter. So it wildly changed the dynamic of how the game plays in a way that you wouldn't really think. But the top-down is what enables, I think, game developers to be really, really creative with the way characters work. But the third-person shooter aspect, angle, it's like, it really limits the mobility, the readability of the game when other characters move too much or do too splashy of things. So like everything has to be kind of really diluted. And in the end, it just felt, none of the characters felt that special to me. So I ended up leaving it because the characters just weren't that fun. So anyways, MOBAs used to do it for me, but they don't really do it for me anymore. And then gameplay, these are basically just genres, but they do equate to gameplay loops. Speedrunning things. Could never get into speedrunning. Don't give a shit about knocking some time off of, glitching a game and doing it fast and then glitching it better and doing it faster. I don't care. Fighting games, never could get into fighting games. And then extraction shooters are another one where that is an example of where the stakes are too high.
I was going to ask you this is interesting. I think you'd like, but too high stakes.
Yeah. I always thought I would like extraction shooters too, and everyone I've played, the one run where I've found really good gear and I'm about to extract and then I die, that's like 18-year-old me kind of rage comes out of me. It is the most heartbreaking and infuriating thing to like think you have something and then it just gets ripped away from you. Yeah, that is what I cannot play extraction shooters because of that. Whereas a battle royale, like I mentioned, it's the stakes are you just have to queue up again and find your guns. It's like not that big of a deal. But an extraction shooter where you get loot that you then take into the next run, and if you die, someone else steals your loot. It's like that interaction with is just gross. I can't do it. I can't stomach it. So yeah, extraction shooters fucking suck.
All right, well, Kyle mistakes genres for gameplay loops, the podcast.
Yes, where I talk about genres the whole time.
Yeah, that's I will say the only other kind of loop I really like is having, and this is like this is almost a genre, if you will, but having this kind of only works for deck builders, is that deck building genre specifically because I like having kind of like a base set of abilities that are kind of dog shit. Then you get like new ones that you put in, and then you kind of cycle out the old ones, and then you just kind of like bow to Theseus your way into this brand new deck that's just like, I don't know, this new engine. It doesn't necessarily have to be cards, but it's just easy to represent them, what I'm just saying, with, in deck builders.
It's basically what you mentioned about Hades. That's why you liked Hades so much. Yeah. Which is why we like Magic so much. It's engines that it's building an engine that works. That's what's really at the heart of what you're talking about.
Yeah, once you accidentally discover you can go infinite with something is kind of like a high I can't get
Dude, I remembered that. I actually have a moment where I realized I could go infinite with one of my Magic decks with Teysa, the original Teysa, where when a black creature dies, you create a 1/1 white spirit token, and then Nether Trader is when a creature dies, you can pay 1 black to return him from the graveyard to play. So the loop was I had Phyrexian Altar in play, I sacrificed Nether Trader to create a black mana, and then Nether Trader died and created a white spirit token. And I was like, wait, I have a spirit token here, I have a mana floating, I'll sack the spirit token, trigger Nether Trader because a creature died, pay a black mana that I created from Nether Trader himself dying, bring him back into play, but now I've profited a black mana by sacrificing the spirit. Holy shit! I realized, like, I distinctly remember realizing that was an infinite loop with those 3 cards. So funny
That's
that you
cool.
brought that up. Accidentally realizing you have an infinite loop. I literally remember that happening.
Yeah,
when I was
that's one of
playing
my
against
favorite
Ryan.
things. Yeah, it's
Yep.
it's a good time. That's
So,
all
yeah.
I got.
Sames. Nice. Sort of Taylor's health update, World of Warcraft talk, and discussing genres in our
Hell
gameplay loop episode.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, you
all I got.
nincompoops.
That's right. Bye.
Bye bye.